Hey Dragon Slayers! Today's video is about inflammation, cardiomyopathy, and their connection to insulin resistance. So, various markers of inflammation, especially the increasingly well known C-reactive protein, more accurately predict cardiovascular disorders than cholesterol levels. Remarkably, whereas insulin elicits anti inflammatory actions in an insulin sensitive person with normal levels of insulin, insulin activates inflammation in insulin resistance people with high levels of insulin. This matters a lot. Implicating insulin resistance as the cause of inflammation places insulin resistance at ground zero for heart disease. It's waging war on the blood vessels by doing everything to promote atherosclerosis. First, insulin resistance increases blood pressure, increasing the likelihood of blood vessel damage. Next, it increases lipid um, deposition in blood vessel walls. Finally, insulin resistance increases inflammation, promoting the ongoing infiltration of blood vessels with macrophages, which becomes increasingly laden with oxidized lipids, changing into foam cells. Altogether, these events, each spurred on separately by insulin resistance, accumulate to form an atherosclerotic plaque. With all this in mind, it's little surprise that insulin can directly promote foam cell formation in blood vessels. A separate class of cardiovascular disorders specifically involves the heart muscle, or myocardium. With cardiomyopathy, the muscles of the heart become unable to generate enough force to pump blood throughout the body's countless vessels. There are several types of cardiomyopathy, but they are all generally classified by the structural changes in the heart, including dilated cardiomyopathy, where the heart is ballooned outwards, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, where the heart muscle is too thick and prevents adequate filling, and restrictive cardiomyopathy, where the heart muscle becomes scarred and stiff. Collectively, these cardiomyopathies are sometimes referred to as non-ischemic heart failure, meaning that it's not a lack of blood flow, atherosclerosis, or heart attack causing the heart to fail. Of the three main types, insulin resistance has been most strongly associated with dilated cardiomyopathy, or DCM. Heart muscle cells rely on glucose for their main source of fuel. With DCM, the heart muscle, or myocardium, becomes dilated, meaning it stretches and gets thinner. As this continues, the heart muscle doesn't contract normally and can't pump blood very well. The theory is that over the course of the disorder, the myocardium becomes ever more reliant on glucose to keep working. However, insulin resistance compromises the heart's ability to take in and use glucose. Because of this metabolic change, the heart begins to suffer from a relative lack of energy and nutrients. Although there's not as much evidence as there is for insulin resistance and DCM, some studies indicated that insulin resistance may play a role in the development of hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. That's not especially surprising. Nothing is at this point, right? Very likely, the chronically elevated insulin drives the growth of the myocardium, making it too thick to allow the heart chambers to fill with blood. By now, I hope it's clear, though we often blame other factors, there is no single variable more relevant to heart disease than insulin resistance. Any successful efforts to reduce our risk of heart disease must address insulin resistance. When we acknowledge the central role of insulin resistance, we start resolving the fundamental causes rather than symptoms, which is all medication can do, is just cover up the symptoms. As much as worldwide efforts to stem heart disease have tried, the longer we overlook insulin resistance as the main cause, the worse the problem will get. So that's what I've got for you guys today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out, guys. And remember that together, you and I will slay the dreaded diabetes dragon.